Here's our national team reporter, Matthew Scianitti from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, where Canada lost 2-0 to Mexico on Thursday night. Considering the expectations going into the tournament, Matthew, how big of a setback is this for the national team?
Well, you add, Jay, the fact that Panama beat the United States, and yeah, I would call it a setback given the fact that a potential opportunity to final against Panama, who Canada has played well against, as they have played also well against Mexico, is a setback and a missed opportunity. And I'll build off something Jesse Marsh just said there. Canada's now at a point under Jesse Marsh where they're not overwhelmed. They have a work rate, and they certainly take the game to the opponents, and we saw that at many moments in the first half and certainly at the beginning of the second half. But Mexico went ahead and capitalized on their two opportunities, and absolutely, you can't dismiss kind of the interesting call from the referee on that foul on a clear foul on Derek Cornelius. You can see the photo of the welt on his head that's going on social media right now. You can't focus too much on that, because we come back to this old conversation that I believe you and I had during Copa America, which is Canada can obviously take the game to an opponent, but they can't create a lot of opportunities. And with the United States now ahead on the weekend in a third-place game that many of us weren't expecting, how does Jesse Marsh then manipulate his attack? You know, obviously, Jonathan David is such a star for Lille, and Kyle Larin has been so reliable for the Canadian men's national team, and not going ahead and putting anything on just exclusively them, but he has to go ahead and get goals, because that continues to be a situation of frustration for the Canadian men's national team. A lot of work rate. They go ahead and have a lot of possession as they did tonight, but they don't create much. And if you don't create much, you don't score. And if you don't score, you don't win. Mexico is off to the final now against Panama.
And it doesn't get any easier on Sunday, despite the fact that they're playing for third place and not playing for the championship. You take on a U.S. team, Matthew, that obviously will be disappointed and looking for some measure of revenge. What does this matchup look like in your mind now, this Sunday third place matchup between the Americans and Canada?
Psychological test. It has to be. The Americans always have a bit of swagger when they go up against the Canadians, and the one thing that Jesse Marsh has said, let's take the Mexico result off the table, is, and Christian Jack and I talked about this earlier in the evening, Jesse Marsh wants his players always to have their shoulders back and their head up, much like the Americans do constantly all the time. So this will be an opportunity for Canada to look the Americans in the eye, knowing that both these teams have their best rosters here and right now, because the Club World Cup is an obligation. A lot of these players, too, who are not playing in that tournament certainly won't be playing in the Gold Cup, and some of the other major players will want to rest because of long seasons and the Copa America last year as well. So here's an opportunity. If you go up against the Americans and you beat the Americans, then perhaps you can come away from this competition, this international window, saying, yeah, you know what, as Alphonso Davies said, we have learnings. And although it is a setback not to get to a final, to go ahead and beat the United States, to have an opportunity to beat the United States, is an opportunity Canada cannot pass up.
The last time they met, Canada won 2-1 in September in Kansas City. That was their first win on U.S. soil since 1957, many, many years before our national team reporter, Matthew Scianitti, was born. He's just a youngster. Thanks, buddy. You go and get a well-deserved beverage, okay?
Appreciate you.